Hello, I'm Niall, and I'm going to talk through this little project with you to kind of show you how, if you wanted to use Command to Cloud to send an email, this is a pretty easy way to do it. It's a pretty common requirement, and so I thought I'd just make a little example project with it and have a little video as well so that you can follow along and get it working because it's quite easy. And why not? So let's talk through a little bit about this. So the README has all the details that we'll be stepping through, but I'm going to go right down to the bottom here where our example process is. So here will be what we'll be building. So we'll be able to basically have a process model. We'll have a user task in there where we can enter some details about the email we want to send, the subject, the person we're sending it to, etc. Then we're going to try and send an email. I'll also briefly explain how we can maybe throw an error if that email address is not valid and that sort of thing. So during this, we'll be using Command to Cloud. There are some prerequisites which are detailed here, so you can probably go and sort that out. But the very first thing to do is go up here, click on download a zip, and then we can continue from there. Now, I have, of course, already downloaded the zip because I'm very well prepared like that. And so here it is. I unzipped it. And there are two components that are relevant here. The first bit is basically everything sort of here is the worker, the thing that sends the email. Now, that's run independently of the Command to Cloud thing. That's run sort of locally. Command to Cloud, the way it works is we're going to give it this model, this BPMN model, and it's going to be able to take that and execute it. And then the worker is going to be sort of triggered to run based on what we need. So the first step now is to actually deploy this model, which is pretty easy. I'm just going to copy the location of this, and I'm going to go to my Command to Cloud console, and I'm going to go into Modeler over here. So you can use this to model your own process if you like, create new diagrams. I am going to do this. I'm going to use this to upload my model from before. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to click import new diagram. I'm going to find my BPMN model, open it. You can see here that the linting tool has told me this is already pretty good. So this means that there's no problems with the model. So that means I can just execute it now and deploy it. So clicking save and deploy will deploy it to my cluster. And great stuff. If you don't see any of this, that's okay. Just go to commando.io and set up an account. You can get a free trial. Then I'm going to click start instance. Start it, and now we should be able to see our instance, and we also can go to our cluster. I can then go into task list, and in task list we should be able to see the form that is going to help us add the email stuff. So we have here enter email details, and we have a bunch of stuff here that we want to add. We'll add that later, but this is now the model is deployed, it's running, and the next section is to get the email worker up and running. And it's a little more complicated, so that's the bit I'm going to spend most of my time on. So let's do that now. As I mentioned, the project file we started with, where we got this model, the core of this is a Java application. It's Spring Boot, and it's going to be doing the sending of the email. Now you can see that it's got POM XML. Those who may already know, that's a Maven project that you can open up in whatever Java IDE you like. I'll be using IntelliJ. In fact, I already have it open on the screen right here. And I want to talk through about two different files that are relevant right here. The rest is kind of boilerplate Spring Boot. So if I open up my source main Java, and you have this little chap down there called worker. And if I open that up, this is what's doing the heavy lifting. I'm going to talk through a little bit of the important parts of this file, because these are true of any kind of work you want to have done, not just sending email, but it's quite generic. And this is the first part, which is the CB worker, where it subscribes or has a type called send email. Now, eagle-eyed viewers may remember that we have seen this before. In fact, if I go back over here and open up the modeler, you will see that our send email tasks that we deployed, the process we deployed to cloud, has a task definition of type send email. This is the correlation, right? So this send email here is what will be able to correlate this to the worker on the send email. Now, what does this do? It gets a bunch of data from the the instance, which has been added in already by the users. It checks for some validation. We'll get to that later. And then in the end, it basically attempts to send an email using the send email class right here. Pretty straightforward. And then if it's successful in sending that email, it will then go ahead and it'll use this complete command and complete the job. Now, if it doesn't manage to be successful, we also have this email validation class. So if the email is invalid for whatever reason, we will throw an error code called invalid email. And as you may notice here, this is then correlated to invalid email right there. So that's where that correlation happens. So and next, I want to talk through the other important file here, because you probably notice how is it doing this magical sending email stuff? It's using some Java stuff in the background, but the important things are here. Now, as you can probably tell, this is going to be using Gmail. So you can see by the host here. Now, I'm using a Gmail account to send this. If you want to set up a Gmail account to be able to use this, I've added a link right here for a tutorial that I found that helped me out. It just involves setting some stuff up in your Gmail account to allow an external service to be able to interact with it. So make sure you do that first. The application stuff requires some properties that should not be a surprise to everybody. We need to know your email address, the password you've set up for this connection, and some other bits and pieces. These are the two main things you're going to want to change here. The next is getting your API, which again is very straightforward. And I will talk through this right now just to make it very straightforward for everybody. So what is this and why do we need it? So this is an API key description for your Command Cloud account, which is a way in which this can actually register for the work that gets progressed through the process. And to do that, it's pretty easy. You can go to your Command Cloud account and you can go right here to API and you just create a new key. Give it a list, make sure you tick ZB and then create. So this will be send an email. Great. Create. Cool. So then it'll create a whole bunch of stuff. We need all of this. This is very important. So I'm going to download the credentials. And now I'm going to show you how you add those credentials to your application YAML. Having downloaded the a little text file here, I have ZB address, ZB client ID, client secret, and the authorization server. We'll need the first three things. Let me talk through exactly how we turn this into our connection with our worker. So if we look at the first thing we need a cluster ID. Okay, now this is the part people get kind of tricky with, which is none of these say cluster ID. The ZB address has this section here, and this is actually the cluster ID. So that's everything up until the full stop is your cluster ID. So I'm going to add that right in there. You can see the region is also right after, it's in between there. Next up, we need our client ID, which is this lovely thing right here. So let's copy that. And I'll put the client ID here. And finally, our client secret, which is a really long string. Let's put it in there. Okay, great. So we're good to go now. We can, I will secretly set up my email and password stuff in the background. And when we're done, we should be able to start up our worker and then be able to send an email to somebody. Let's find out. To run this lovely file, we just need to right click here on the worker and just click on run. You'll never believe what will happen next. Yes, that's right. The Spring Boot application will start. And as you can see right here, it spins up and then starts connecting using the authentication to connect to Command Cloud. So that started up. The worker has started. It's waiting for work now. So what does it mean? It means that it's waiting until the process gets to the point where it needs to send an email. If we swing back to our little task list, you can see that we have our front-end application. So we need to fill this out, and then we click claim it. We are going to send our email to Reb Brown. Reb Brown, as I'm sure everyone knows, is a famous movie star from the mid-80s. I really like Deadly Prey. Prey was great. So I want to let Red Brown know. Deadly Prey 2, not so much. So let's go email buddy. The movie was fantastic. And let's complete. So what we should expect is for Red Brown to get an email. And if we look up here, haha, look at this. We have an email from Red Brown to Red Brown saying that the movie was fantastic, which is true. So great success all around. So hopefully you'll be able to understand now how to send these emails and also maybe how to integrate them within your own application. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.